Hello out there in Facebook land. I have been lying in bed just going over something in my mind like over and over again, and I'm not sure the best way to get rid of it. And the stuff I'm listening to now, it's like observe it. And something like, and it's kind of silly. It was like a passing comment that happened. Well, a couple of comments that happened that, weren't even bad, but I felt I didn't represent myself the way I would have wanted, and I don't think I was interpreted the way I meant it. And so in my head, I've been going over and over it and rehaving this conversation a million times in a million different ways. How could I have said it better? Well, it would have been too complicated. It would have taken too long. And then I used the shorthand, and it seemed like it was much simpler, and like it just didn't, I couldn't. And then it was too personal, but I think it's too personal. Something's too personal for me. I just let it all hang out on Facebook, but in a one-on-one conversation, I can't. It's too personal. But basically, I am a part of this group that I have, like, we meet every week, and I kind of you talk about what you did last week and what you're going to do this week. And I spent a good part of last week working on self-development and everything I've been talking about in these videos. But I didn't want to go into it because we didn't have that much time, and but they were asking for specifics, and it's like, it's too complicated to give you. Anyway, the point is, I was trying to rehab this conversation and like working out in my head how I could have said it differently, only quicker, and blah blah. And I'm just doing this in my head, and I'm like, you know what? Stop. Like, you're just driving yourself crazy. There's no point of you doing this. And the stuff I'm listening to right now, like I said, it's like observe the desire to fix, because that's where you got to start working. It's not I have to fix something outside. It's that I need to recognize my desire to fix it. I need to observe the disturbance inside. But I just couldn't, I haven't been able to get a handle on it. I've been lying in bed and just going over this conversation in my head. And it was like I shortened it and into like shorthand. I said, like, well, to try and kind of sum it all up, I said something like, well, the thing that I've been working on, like I said something about having realizations, and they were like, well, what kind of realizations? I said something about letting go, and they're like, well, you're being very vague. And I'm like, oh, like, it's so complicated. It's so much more. But, so I said something like, well, I realized that this love that I'm, a relationship that's ending, this love that I have, is the first like unselfish love I've had. And I realized that my other relationships, I've been, kind of, I don't remember what I said, something about fulfilling my own needs or something like that. And one of the guys was like, oh, yeah, like, oh, you grew up, basically. And it's like, like, that's not what I meant. It wasn't like I was being a selfish bitch or anything, or only catering to my own needs. This was like the first healthy relationship I've ever had with a man. Well, in a romantic sense. And that just, It makes a difference. You know, my relationships in the past have either been with men I don't actually love, or completely unavailable, like not unavailable, like emotionally unavailable, like shut down people, or completely emotionally abusive assholes. That's my forte, the emotionally abusive asshole. And you know what I would do. See, now I'm having the conversation I was having in my head with them, but I gotta get it out, right? What I was doing was looking for that love that I never felt before. And it was like a very desperate, anxious, needy feeling, you know, where I would, in these relationships, give everything I could, give of myself, trying to please them and trying to make them love me, right? And I was never fully myself. And with this relationship, it happened completely by accident. We started off as friends, and because of that, there were no stakes, and I didn't have to worry about impressing him or wanting him to love me or trying to get something from him that I wanted, like what I needed, you know, this love. It just started out just being friends and being myself completely, and then it developed into something else. And because he loved me for who I am, and that's the first time I've ever felt that. Like, I've never felt loved for who I am, partially because I've never been truly myself in relationships, and partially because I of the people that I chose to have those relationships with. So when I got into this relationship where I was loved for who I am, and I could give the love that I wanted to give to these other people, but that was never accepted, was abused or turned away. He received it. He received everything that I wanted to give. He received the love that I wanted to give. And he gave it back in a way that I've never seen a man give love to me. And his love was like totally selfless. His first concern was always my well-being, both physical and emotional. And because he received this love that I always wanted to give, I always wanted to give this selfless love. But because it was never received, and because I never received any back, it became this thing where I was just trying to get it. And it became very need-based, you know, needy-based, very, very, very like, I need this. And that's what I meant when I said that before this relationship, my love was based on what I needed. And that this relationship was the first relationship I've had that was based on what was best for the other. And that in the end of this relationship, we had two choices that neither of us wanted, but there was a choice, and the choice was do this one thing and we can be together, but the consequences would just wound him, and it would be like deep psychological, emotional wounds that would last for the rest of his life. And the other choice is not to do that thing and break up. So the other thing is that in that equation, the thing that he would have to do, if any of you have been watching these videos, which you probably haven't, because why would you? It was, I'm not going to say anybody's fault, but it was focused on, I mean, he's from a different culture. It's based on his mother. She doesn't know anything about me, but long story. And I know this culture is different. This culture is different, and it's a really long, complicated story. So no judgment, okay? Let's just take as read that he couldn't say anything. And I had spent a long time being angry at her and blaming her rather than looking at, oh, hey, Rick. Rather than looking at what the consequences would be, other than he would be hurt, and then on top of that, it would poison the relationship and it wouldn't have been worth it in the first place, so why would you do it? I realized that despite me not particularly liking her because of a bunch of different things, that somehow it happened that because she is the way she is, he became the way he is, right? And I don't know how that happened because she's not that nice. But he is this amazing person who I would never change a thing about. So therefore, I can't want her to be different than she is. So, and on top of that, I kind of have to love her because she made him who he is. I mean, not completely, but you know what I mean? She was a large part of how he was formed as a human being. So I can't say I want her to be different. And I can't say that now either. Like, I want her to be different. I can't say that. I don't want her to be different because if she were different, he would be different. And he's just wonderful the way he is. I wouldn't change one single thing. I would kill me to change one single thing. So I stopped being angry and blaming her. And when I did that, my focus shifted and I became more aware, or more open to even to thinking about the actual consequences of what would happen if he were to tell her. And those consequences, guys, it's not like, oh, she would be mad. It's like, we're talking at best, she'd disown him. At worst, her health is really, really bad. And I know it sounds extreme, but she could have a heart attack. Let's just be honest. So the the choice here is he like completely is cut off from his family, or at least his mother, who he feels very obligated to for a number of reasons. And there's the whole cultural thing. He's from the Middle East. So the amount that would wound him, nothing's worth hurting him like that. Not even us. And the reason I'm not behaving, one of the many reasons, but one of the reasons I'm not behaving the way I used to when a relationship ends is because I'm not desperate anymore. I got that love that I needed. I don't know about need. I don't like the word need. I got the love that I was searching for. I got a love that filled that hole in my heart. And because I felt that, what I wanted to give was received. And the way our relationship ended was so beautiful. Just loving and caring and just, yes, it's sad that it's over. It's so sad. But there's nothing about it that makes me feel desperate. And that's what I meant when I said what I said, and it was a shorthand for that. But that's why the selfless love, I was finally able to know what that meant. And so that's a gift, again, that he's given me. And that the ending of this relationship, and I say this a lot, but the end of this relationship is making me a better, stronger person, and will continue to do so. It's transformed me, and it will continue this has started an emotional and spiritual journey. The end of this relationship has started an emotional and spiritual journey that will last the rest of my life. And again, so like, I can't even, in a weird way, I can't even wish it. I mean, yes, I do wish it was back. I do. But like, I see the good in it in many different ways. And that's kind of what I wish I'd said earlier. I needed to get it out, right? If I'm lying here in bed just thinking about it and like not letting myself sleep about it, I'll say it and it'll be out. But, and I do need to learn not to get that disturbed by this sort of thing. And like, another thing I was talking about letting go, and they're like, that's not specific. And I'm like, for me, it is. Like, letting go is never something that I've been able to do. Accepting reality has never been something I've been able to do. It's a very new concept for me. Not concept, but, you know, I used to ask people, like, you say let it go, but how do you let it go? And they're like, I don't know, you just let it go. And I'm like, well, if I knew what it meant to let go, that's what I would do, but I need to know how to do that. And the answer was always, I don't know, you just let it go. And it's like, that does not help me. But reading these books has given me a way to let it go. It's given me an understanding of what it means to let it go, and it's given me a way to do it. And so I've started doing it. And the result of that has been like, not only just freaking exhausting, but it is affecting my body a lot. I've discovered this at the very beginning, well, not the very beginning of this breakup, because that's a long story, but since this like final finality of the relationship ending has come, I felt so weird, because I thought that the ache, like every other time, would be in my heart. But a week before, 2 weeks before, I'd been thinking about it, because this has been in the cards. This has been in the works for a while, this breakup. We just went back and forth because we just really didn't want to. And as I saw that it was really coming to an end, I was hurting in my heart. And because I've been listening to these books, I was like, you know what? This is hurting me. The circumstance is hurting me in my heart, but it's also coming in and hitting a bunch of stuff from the past. So what I'm feeling now isn't just about the situation. It's about a lot of stuff that I've held on to since I was a little girl. And that's what I need to let go. And that night, or that day when I was thinking about this, like this, it just like this, and I haven't felt that ache in my heart since. I mean, certainly my heart's broken, and certainly I hurt in my heart for this, but that gnawing, desperate feeling isn't there any longer. Because before, when something like this would happen and it came in and hit all that stuff, it's not like emotionally I thought I was gonna die, although maybe once or twice, like, oh, like mentally, I mean, like maybe once or twice I was like, oh my God, this is gonna kill me. But like, not logically, I didn't think I was gonna die, but my entire body reacted as though that's what was happening. And that comes from like a long time ago when I was a little girl and not getting your parents' love meant death, basically. So that's what was being stirred up. And when I realized that and cried and just was able to relax every time that came up, I felt the tightness and I was able to breathe and relax my body and let it go and describe what I was feeling and blah, blah, blah. It's kind of amazing that that's been eased as much as it has. But since that's happened, and then the finality of this has started to sink in the past few weeks, it's been in my stomach. And that's always, I mean, that's typical, you know what I mean? It's always, but that's always a lot of where I've stored my anxiety and my depression and everything else. It's always affected my gut. It's always affected my stomach. But I hadn't realized how much because I've been paying more attention to my heart. So it started out with like this burning feeling. It's like white hot, and it's like the emotions being purified. That's my thought. But it's developed into this thing where like I feel a tightening in my stomach. And immediately, because this is what the book is telling me to do, because this is how you let go, and finally someone told me, immediately I breathe, let my shoulders relax, let anywhere in my body unclenched, and all of a sudden, like, my stomach starts doing the spasming thing. That's like, what the hell is this? Like, it really is. It's like it clenches and then I let it go. And then it clenches and then I let it go. And it's just like this crazy feeling. And my stomach has been screwed up this entire time. Not screwed up. I don't want to call it screwed up because it's healing, right? It's getting rid. But in doing that, it's in purging itself of this tension and of this energy that I've been holding there for the longest time. It is, you know, doing stuff that doesn't feel good in a physical sense, right? And so I haven't been sleeping. Like, it's not even that, except for tonight, the past few days, the past week or so, it hasn't been that my mind's racing. I just can't get to sleep. So I'm exhausted and my stomach is weird and I'm so sad and I'm so confused and I'm so disoriented because what I'm doing now emotionally and spiritually is what Michael Singer, this guy who writes these books and does these lectures, calls sitting in your seat of consciousness. So what I'm doing is just identifying my consciousness, and that's who we are, right? That's our soul. That's the universe made conscious of itself, because we're not our thoughts, we're not our emotions. I can perceive those two things, which means those things aren't me. I am the one perceiving it. I am the one experiencing life in the universe through this body, right? And this is my experience of this part of creation. And the more I'm becoming aware of that, the more I am working on observing and just being conscious of it. And that is disorienting because I think once I practice it enough, I will know where to go to be able to do that. And I will be able to stay there. But right now, trying to find that place is disorienting because it's like, well, is it over here? Is it over here? Like, I can't, and then you get like, it's just, so I'm tired. I'm disoriented. My stomach is doing weird stuff. I'm so sad, but I'm also hopeful because I think that I know that on the other side of this is happiness, right? Like, I'm so sad about this breakup, but I see that it's necessary, and I see the good that it is doing me, and that it will do him. But I miss him so much. He's my best friend. Like, he's my best friend. You know what? Right now we're in this reality, and this reality is he's not in my life anymore. So let's deal with me and how I am moving past this and dealing with it. You know, and again, like, I just want you guys to know I'm doing these videos because I am hopeful that anybody else out there who doesn't know how to navigate these emotions in a healthy way can sort of see, you know, like a case study, you know, like, okay, this can be done. So, like, I was depressed for a really long time, and I have had these terrible, either, you know what, I have had good relationships with really kind of nice men who I just wasn't in love with, right? But these other guys that honestly I wasn't in love with them either. I was just trying to get that love that I didn't have. Where was I going with this? 50 million thoughts at once. I don't remember where I was going with this. Anyway, it'll come back to me at some point. I see the growth that this is causing, that this is inspiring in me, and I know that that's what has to happen. I know that's what the universe wants, and we're dealing with me, so I'm not going to think about him. Sorry, there's like 50 thoughts about him. We're going to put those aside. I see them, I'm conscious of them, it's fine. Oh yeah, so I am hoping that someone else who may be in a long-term depression, who doesn't see hope like I didn't see hope. I didn't think okay was a thing. I didn't think I could ever be okay again. I thought, that's it, I screwed up my life, and you know, I'm in my 40s now, so that's pretty much it, right? I can't possibly come back from this. I want anybody who feels that way to see that you can do something about it. And it's not easy at all. It takes work, but it can be done. You can feel better. And also, if there's another person out there who's only gotten themselves into either really negative relationships or relationships with people that, great relationships, aren't in love. You know, anybody else who hasn't had a healthy relationship with someone that they love, to show them what that's like, and that you can have that, right? That's out there. I just want to show that it's possible, that it's hard, but there's a path that you can find. It'll be your own path. That's why I'm doing these videos. I feel sometimes like I don't want people to think I'm being self-indulgent, or that the other thing I'm getting, and I really do appreciate the support, but a lot of times people are saying, oh, you know, hang in there, I'm sorry you're so stressed. You know, I got a direct message earlier saying, oh, I know you're going through a lot of stress, just let me know if you, and it's not, I'm actually in a really good place. This is like the healthiest I've ever been in my life. I'm just figuring it out. So it's tough and it's hard, but it's good. I just want to say that. And anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say as far as I can think right now. Pretty much. So I am just going to say, as I always do, even when shit feels bad and things are happening that you don't want to happen, and that the emotions that you're in, that you're having, that you're maybe even lost or overwhelmed by, you can always find something to be grateful for if you look, if you really think about it. So, and gratitude does everything. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make you happy. You know, I am grateful. I'm not happy he's gone, but I am grateful for the good things that it's doing. So I just want to communicate to everybody out there that even when you're sad and lonely and missing someone or whatever the case may be, you can find things to be grateful for, and gratitude is a good thing. So I'm going to leave you with, I hope you always remember that you can always choose to have a grateful night. Good night, everybody.